Everyone, this is Jim, and I wanted to launch a new series of album reviews for the holiday season. So this is going to be all Christmas albums, and I thought I would start with one of my favorite series of vintage LP Christmas albums, and that is the Very Merry Christmas, a Very Merry Christmas series issued by the variety store W.T. Grant, also known as Grant's. We had one in my neighborhood growing up. It was in Newtown Square Shopping Center in suburban Philly. They were all over the place. And in the late 60s, Grant started issuing these albums. They started with an affiliation with the Columbia record label, and then about midstream, they switched over to RCA. But we're going to take them in order, and the first is A Very Merry Christmas. This is known as A Very Merry Christmas Volume 1. Volume 1, but it doesn't say Volume 1 because it was the first. I'm not sure they even realized how many they were going to do. But let me give you a quick rundown of who's on this album and just some of my off-the-cuff remarks and reviews of the material. The side one starts with The Little Drummer Boy by Ray Conniff and the Ray Conniff Singers. And this is a nice atmospheric, moody way to open the album. The drums are soft and steady. The singers are august, and they really give it a light touch, though. It's a sort of it's a nice way to kind of ease in, sort of mostly an instrumental track. Then you move on to Jingle Bells by Jimmy Dean. This is in a sequence of tracks. This strikes me as a kind of an abrupt change, and it's my least favorite song on the album, to be honest. It's kind of simplistic. It's kind of cloying. There's this children in the background singing, and it's just too cheesy. I mean, Jimmy Dean, you should stick to sausage, not this cheese. It just doesn't fit the mood of the rest of the album too well for me. Nothing against Jingle Bells, but you know, every cover is going to be slightly different. This one didn't do much for me. Then we move on to Santo, Natale by Patti Page, and this was an interesting choice. I think this would have made a better follow-up to track number one, The Little Drummer Boy. It's not a tune you typically find on a Christmas album, and Patti sounds great here. She gives it a nice, sweet rendition. Let me show you the label for side one. Right there. Hopefully you can see it. And we move on to another track by, I guess, the youngest artist in the set. That would be Simon and Garfunkel over here. By the way, this came out, Volume 1 came out in 1967. The song by Simon and Garfunkel is called The Star Carol. When I first heard this, I was struck by it. I didn't realize they had even done it, and it's something of a rarity. If I'm not mistaken, this was the first time Star Carol came out. It's certainly a track that's difficult to find. It's the kind of song, and there are a few songs on this compilation that I would call deep cuts, and they make it a rare treat, and it makes it worth tracking down these albums. The good news is they're not that hard to find. If you shop your charity shops, thrift stores, your used record stores, there's a good chance that you're going to find A Very Merry Christmas. The Star Carol it's just a lovely tune by Simon and Garfunkel, very soft and gentle. Then we move on to Oh Holy Night by Johnny Mathis, who was a staple on Columbia, and this is a definitive performance of Oh Holy Night. I mean, there's so many people who did a great job with it, but Johnny's version is right up there. His voice is sort of buttery smooth. He's got that roller coaster vibrato. He's kind of he kind of rises to the occasion as the song peaks, as the melody peaks. Doesn't get overly operatic though, doesn't overdo it. It's a sensitive, dramatic reading of this song. It's a real winner. And you all should check out Johnny's classic Christmas album because it's one of the best out there. Then we move on to We Three Kings of Orient Are by Jimmy Rogers. Jimmy Rogers. He starts this song slow, lilting, and then kicks into a warm, casual swing groove on the chorus. A real nice soft touch maintained on this one, and it's a tasteful reading of a pretty cool Christmas song. There's lots of songs like this in the Christmas canon that kind of have that kind of minor key feel to them, and I really like it. And then we close with another rarity. Let me sort of show you here. Sweetest Dreams Be Thine by Theodore Bikel and the Penny Whistlers. So Theodore Bikel is a Yiddish Jewish folk singer, and he appears in Fiddler on the Roof, and he issued a lot of albums that were popular in the 60s. So it's kind of interesting to see him crop up here on a Christmas album. This song I didn't know before, but it's really an interesting choice. And it's kind of like telling the baby Jesus story from the mother's point of view, and these three wise men have arrived, and people are talking about that this child is going to be the king someday, but she doesn't quite process that. So it's kind of written from a Jewish point of view. It's not a Hanukkah song, it's a Christmas song, but it's told from a Jewish point of view, where she just sort of loves her baby and has sweet dreams of peacefulness for this baby. And it's just a great song. And it's really cool to find something like that on a Christmas album. Let's move over to side two. Side two begins with a medley by Andrei Kostelanetz and his orchestra. You'll find Andrei Kostelanetz on a lot of these old Christmas albums. The medley consists of the first Noel, It Came Upon the Midnight Clear, and O Come All Ye Faithful. Some real oldies there. I like this. It has a very festive holiday feel to it, but the medley breezes along really fast. It's almost as if they edited it and spliced the songs together. I wish it had lasted a little bit longer, but it is a pleasant listen. Then we move to another kind of rarity. Where's Mike Douglas? Right here, Mike Douglas. You may be familiar with him if you're old enough. He had a popular television show, a talk show. In our area, it was on in the afternoons. He was a local TV personality. He produced his show out of KYW in Philadelphia, and he was a good singer, a good crooner, Mike Douglas. The song that appears on this one is Touch Hands on Christmas Morning, another relatively rare track that makes this one worth hunting down. It's a tune that didn't become a classic, but for that reason, it's interesting. It adds interest. You're not just hearing like the regular stuff on this album. Then we move from Mike Douglas to a kind of heavyweight song here. You've got E-Power Biggs on the organ with orchestra and chorus doing Der Tag ist so freudenreich. I'm not a German speaker, so apologize if I didn't pronounce that right. This is got that kind of classic heavy organ sound. It feels like you're in church. It's another interesting choice because it's a less familiar song, one that I don't know, but it sounds like Christmas music, and I like it a lot. And then we move to one of my least favorite Christmas songs, The 12 Days of Christmas, because it just goes on and on and on. This version is done by Burl Ives with the Percy Faith Orchestra. I will say I'm a big fan of Burl Ives. Remember, he was the snowman in the classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer stop-action animation feature put on television. But Burl had a rich recording career, and he's got this butterscotch voice. And even though I don't like the 12 Days of Christmas, he makes it palatable to me. I like what he does with it. Then we move on to an interesting take on God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen by Andre Previn, who died not that long ago. This is his orchestra. And what struck me about this as interesting is the arrangement. The harpsichord is very prominent on this arrangement, which is atypical for God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. Then we move to Bobby Vinton singing "Do You Hear What I Hear." I really like "Do You Hear What I Hear," but I wouldn't normally associate Bobby Vinton's voice with this material. But I got to give Bobby credit; he does a nice job with it. He kind of rises to the occasion. We'll put it that way. Although there's a version of "Do You Hear What I Hear" by another artist that we're going to encounter on volume 3 of A Very Merry Christmas. That's maybe my favorite version. We'll keep you in suspense on what that is. But Bobby does a nice work here. I just expect him. He's more of a pop singer, and this song kind of demands like more of a powerhouse, heavy hitter voice. But Bobby's fine with it. He does good. And then we close with the religious music Hallelujah Chorus by Handel, and that's performed by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, directed by Richard P. Condy and the Philadelphia Orchestra and Eugene Ormandy. So again, another local guy from my area. And the Philadelphia Orchestra was cranking out the albums under Ormandy on the Columbia label. So they appear on lots of these Very Merry Christmas compilations. Here is the side 2 label. And that's going to do it. So my review on this one, Very Merry Christmas, worth getting, absolutely. And it bodes well for the series that is to come. There were 8 volumes of A Very Merry Christmas, and this is a really good jumping off point. I didn't listen to this one as a kid. I came into the Very Merry Christmas series with volume 3, but as I got older, I started collecting all of them, and the first 2 were worth hunting down, and they're not too difficult to find, and they're really worthwhile. Also here on YouTube, I'm going to share links to people who have offered either individual tracks from this album, or someone might have even done a vinyl rip of the whole thing. So what I can find, I'll scrape together and I'll put in the show description. I just wanted you to know this one's worth looking for, and it's the first installment of A Very Merry Christmas. I'm going to take these in order as we move on, and I'm looking forward to hearing your memories of this album, your comments on some of the offbeat material that appears on it, and any questions you have. Please like the video, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. It's always appreciated. Just getting started with this channel, so it would be wonderful to pick up some followers soon. Thanks very much, and have a great holiday season. Season's greetings.